Did you know that the longest land border in the world is so much more than just a dividing line? It holds fascinating stories, unbelievable mapping errors, and even a library built right on the border itself. Today we'll uncover the unique quirks of the boundary between the United States and Canada, revealing details that are as surprising as they are intriguing. Get ready for an exciting journey full of history, geography, and some truly bizarre facts. The border at the Atlantic and the Great Lakes. At the boundary between the state of Maine and the Canadian province of New Brunswick, the two countries are separated by dense forests, mountains, and remote areas. The border runs straight along the 45th parallel, an imaginary line halfway between the equator and the North Pole. While this section of the border may seem straightforward, it includes the Great Lakes, which act as a natural divider between Canada and the United States. These lakes aren't just a geographical marvel. They're also an economic powerhouse. Together they form the largest freshwater system in the world and serve as vital trade routes, facilitating the transport of over 150 million tons of goods annually, including coal, grain, and iron ore. The northwest angle and mapping errors. Heading west, the border gets even more interesting as it meets the Pigeon River, which separates Minnesota from Ontario. The line winds through about 100 lakes, but one spot truly stands out, the northwest angle. This small piece of the United States is completely cut off from the rest of the country and can only be reached by boat or by traveling through Canada. This peculiar situation was caused by a mapping error during the Treaty of Paris in 1783. From there, the border follows the 49th parallel, one of the world's longest straight-line boundaries. But appearances can be deceiving. This section is full of oddities, the no-touch zone, and border maintenance. One of the most striking features of this border is the no-touch zone, a 20-foot wide strip of land that keeps the two countries physically separated. This zone must remain free of vegetation and obstructions along its entire length. Trees are regularly cleared every 15 years, even in remote areas like Alaska and the Yukon. This meticulous upkeep ensures that the border remains visible, even from satellite images. In addition to this buffer zone, there are surveillance towers at strategic points. Still, given the sheer size and challenging geography, it's nearly impossible to monitor the entire border in real time. Estimates suggest that thousands of illegal crossings happen each year, particularly in remote regions, posing a significant challenge to authorities on both sides. Challenges of 19th century surveying. Though the border looks straight on modern maps, it's actually made up of over 900 segments that slightly deviate from the 49th parallel. These imperfections are the result of 19th century surveying limitations. Surveyors relied on compasses and rudimentary tools to map thousands of miles of unexplored land, often in harsh conditions. The process was painstaking, requiring the placement of over 8,000 markers to establish the boundary. Similar efforts were made in other parts of the world, including Brazil, where imperial markers defined borders with neighboring countries. Local Peculiarities, Vancouver Island. To ensure the island stayed entirely within Canadian territory, the border was adjusted around it, deviating from the 49th parallel. Point Roberts, Washington. This small American community is completely cut off from the mainland, and its residents must cross the border 4 times a day just to attend school or work. Atlantic disputes. In the Atlantic Ocean, islands near Maine remain a point of contention. Canada even built a lighthouse on one of these islands, which the United States continues to disregard entirely. More quirks along the border. In Vermont, the border cuts through towns and even buildings. Take the Haskell Free Library, for example. It was built right on the border as a symbol of friendship. The entrance is in the United States, while the reading room is in Canada. Another interesting case is Campobello Island in Canada, which is connected by a bridge only to the state of Maine. This forces residents to cross the border daily for basic errands. In more remote areas like Alaska and the Yukon, the no-touch zone often remains the only visible sign of division. In Darby Line, Vermont, some homes straddle the border, with parts of the house located in the United States and others in Canada. This quirky setup highlights the strong cultural and historical ties between these border communities. History and complexity. The history of the U.S.-Canada border is filled with disputes and negotiations. Treaties like the Treaty of Paris, 1783, and the Oregon Treaty, 1846, defined much of the line but also created new complications. In some areas, the border follows natural landmarks like the Rocky Mountains, while in others, like the plains along the 49th parallel, it cuts straight through open landscapes. Even in urban areas, the border creates unique challenges. In the Atlantic, disputes over small islands continue, with each side claiming territory based on historical interpretations. The longest land border in the world between the United States and Canada is a masterpiece of engineering, history, and geography. With over 8,000 markers and a no-touch zone spanning thousands of miles, every kilometer of this boundary reveals a deeper complexity than meets the eye. Beyond its quirks, the border stands as a symbol of international cooperation. Agreements like NAFTA and its successor, the USMCA, have strengthened the economic ties between the two nations, making this one of the most integrated trade regions in the world. If you enjoy discovering the fascinating quirks of this incredible border, don't forget to hit that like button to support the channel. Share this video with your friends who love learning something new, and let us know in the comments which of these border quirks surprised you the most. And if you're hungry for more content like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and see you next time.